Number 10. Ashley Marie Prenevost. Back in 2014, police in Glendale, Arizona, arrived at the home of 24-year-old Ashley Marie Prenevost after she had allegedly thrown a tantrum at her boyfriend for refusing to have intercourse with her in the middle of the night. An arrest report accused her of being heavily intoxicated and of running around the home bloody and naked in a fit of rage after punching glass and injuring herself. The suspect's outburst reportedly woke up their 4-month-old child, who was named as a second victim in the report. Police claimed Prenevost tried to flee through the home's garage, but that they quickly caught up with her. She allegedly screamed and yelled while officers detained her, then refused to answer their questions down at the station. They hit her with a slew of charges, including abusing a child and an adult, aggressive assault on a minor, endangerment, assault with intent to injure, criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. She was released from custody the day after her arrest and has a court date scheduled in the next few months. Police have not released her boyfriend's name, but her Facebook profile has 2 pictures of her, which was taken fairly recently when she would have been in the 2nd trimester of her pregnancy. She was posing with a man that may be the man identified as Victim 1 in the police report. Number 9. Catherine Bush. A British mother of 1 named Catherine Bush found herself at the center of embarrassing headlines earlier this year after she allegedly threw a fit during a flight from Manchester to Antalya, Turkey. She was reportedly on her way to get some cosmetic dental work done when she became agitated halfway through the flight by the noise of crying children and because she thought people were looking at her funny. Bush became extremely disruptive, according to witnesses, who said that she even tried opening the plane's emergency door. Passengers claimed that the woman's behavior only continued to escalate as she became increasingly aggressive towards staff and other travelers. They accused Bush of shouting in people's faces, challenging staff, and even slapping fellow passengers. Her behavior got so out of control that the flight was grounded in Vienna so that the authorities could remove and arrest her. Airline spokesperson Phil Ward apologized to the people who were subjected to Bush's abuse. He reassured the public that she was banned for life and that the company planned to do everything in its power to prosecute the case. Shortly after news of the bizarre incident broke, Bush apologized and said that she was ashamed of herself. She admitted she was extremely intoxicated during the flight and claimed that she had drank to calm her nerves because she didn't have her prescription medication with her. By all appearances, Bush's apology seems genuine. She admitted that having mental health issues is no excuse for how she acted, but that she was simply trying to explain her behavior. Unfortunately, the damage was done, and she had to deal with the court of public opinion, which is perhaps even harsher than anything she'll face in court. Number 8. TIANIS Jones. A 22-year-old Lakeland, Florida woman named TIANIS Jones is being accused of acting out of control at a local McDonald's restaurant after she was caught on camera losing her temper. Jones, who was 5 months pregnant at the time, allegedly entered the fast food joint and began complaining about how long the employees were taking to prepare her order. She then appeared to throw several items at workers, including cups and bottles, as she went behind the counter and into the employees-only area. Witnesses reported a relative tried to physically restrain Jones and calm her down, as staff members repeatedly asked her to leave. Workers accused her of refusing to leave as she continued with her tirade for another 10 minutes before her relative and another customer persuaded her to leave. Before exiting the restaurant, Jones allegedly lifted her shirt and began twerking in what can only be described as an obnoxious grand finale to her reckless behavior. Police charged her with burglary with assault, disorderly conduct, misuse of 911, and criminal mischief. Sheriff Grady Judd told Yahoo News that he doesn't understand why Jones got so angry, but as the saying goes, she's a few fries short of a Happy Meal. He concluded his thoughts by saying, "She better not complain about the food we serve her at the county jail." Number 7. Peter Usiamwanta and Malik Lee. A group of 4 customers went to a car dealership in Stafford, Virginia last October, hoping to get some speedy repairs done. When the staff told them that the work couldn't be done until later that week, one customer, 31-year-old Peter Usiamwanta, allegedly became belligerent and punched an employee in the face. Meanwhile, 36-year-old Malik Lee reportedly began overturning desks, computers, and other furniture in what investigators described as a full-scale temper tantrum. Usiamwanta and Lee are both accused of vandalizing the dealership and assaulting employees who suffered minor injuries. The two other customers who were with the pair helped get the situation under control before all four drove away from the scene right as sheriff's deputies were arriving. Law enforcement soon caught up with the suspects and charged them both with assault and battery and felony vandalism. The other two passengers in the grey Jeep were not charged with any crimes by the police and were released. Number 6. Ross McFarland. In 2019, 11 months after Ross McFarland's mother died, his father got engaged to 66-year-old Martha White. The Alabama teen thought it was too soon after his mother's death and flew into an unchecked fit of rage. Ross's mother was a microbiology graduate, married to John McFarland for over 2 decades. She had 2 other children besides Ross. Donna McFarland's Facebook profile displayed that her relationship status with her husband was separated. He shot the retired school teacher in her face inside her home when she turned her head to look away, then picked up the shell casing and walked away from the scene, according to a witness. It didn't take long for police to catch up to Ross, especially after his father, Dr. John McFarland, reported that his Smith & Wesson handgun was missing from his home. Soon enough, the younger McFarland was arrested and held without bail on suspicion of murdering Ms. White. He pleaded guilty to the killing and received a 50-year prison sentence. At his sentencing, McFarland admitted he thought about murdering his dad along with others in the community, including minors. Number 5. KAITLIN Armstrong. U.S. Marshals are hunting for 35-year-old yoga instructor KAITLIN Armstrong, who they say shot and killed 25-year-old professional cyclist Anna Wilson in Austin, Texas. Wilson was in town for a race when police responded to a call about a shooting. They found a woman bleeding and unconscious inside a local residence. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Detectives zeroed in on Armstrong as their number 1 suspect after learning that she was dating Wilson's ex-boyfriend, Colin Strickland, and that Wilson had gone swimming and had dinner with the man the night of her murder. She was shot just minutes after walking through the door. Investigators are accusing Armstrong of stalking Wilson and killing her in a fit of rage. They also claim to have surveillance footage of the woman's vehicle outside the house where Wilson was staying from around the time she was murdered. Strickland is reportedly cooperating with the investigation and issued a statement expressing his regret over his proximity to the crime. Meanwhile, Armstrong's family claims that she's innocent and would never do something so horrific. Yet, just 3 days after the crime, she flew to New York City and is now nowhere to be found, which doesn't exactly make her look innocent. Speaking with News Nation, Deputy Brandon Filler, who is leading the U.S. Marshals' investigation into Wilson's murder, urged Armstrong to surrender to authorities. He clarified that they're working diligently on the case and that he wants to take her into custody safely so that she can tell her side of the story in court. Number 4. William Weaver. In June 2020, a concerned citizen called police in Manitou Springs, Colorado, to report that 49-year-old William Weaver had confessed to murdering his wife, Wendy Cupid, in a Facebook Messenger conversation. Weaver reportedly told the person that he was getting ready to turn himself in. A short while later, officers arrived at the man's home and looked through the window. Inside, they saw Wendy's lifeless body with blood on her face and hair. They also observed a broken window and blood on the door. Police questioned Weaver at the scene, and he reportedly said that he planned to confess. He admitted he had hit Wendy during an argument because she was laughing at him and taunting him, and that it triggered a fit of rage. Weaver said that he tried choking his wife but was too drunk, so he grabbed a kitchen knife instead and slashed her in the arm. Wendy bit him, and he responded by plunging the knife into her torso and continuing to stab her until she was dead. In his own words, Weaver reportedly said, "I killed my wife in a fit of rage. I didn't mean to." He was charged with first-degree murder, and police said that there was a history of domestic violence at the home. Weaver was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 3. Roger Strautman. A Greensburg, Pennsylvania man named Roger Strautman graced news headlines in early April after he allegedly ripped the state flag down at a Sheetz gas station during a mysterious tantrum. The incident was captured on surveillance footage, leading to Strautman's arrest for theft and maliciously taking down and mutilating the flag. State troopers pulled the suspect over shortly after the incident and found the flag in his trunk. Strautman reportedly told them he was angry because he hadn't received his tax refund yet. Trooper Steve Lamani told the local station WPXI that he found it irrational for someone to reach that level of anger toward the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and they can always move somewhere else if they dislike it that much. But Strautman's campaign of destruction apparently wasn't over yet. Just weeks later, he was in the news again for allegedly throwing a brick through the window of a local congressman's office, where he had sought help on prior occasions with getting his IRS refund. He's accused of committing the crime right after he interrupted a funeral service by pulling the fire alarm at a church. After signing his name in the prayer book, Strautman reportedly took bottles of holy water and threw them outside, damaging several statues and flower pots. By the time police caught up with the suspect, they had to taser him to get him under control. He now faces even more charges for his latest alleged crime spree. Number 2. Charalambos Anagnostopoulos. Caroline Crouch was just 20 years old when someone strangled her to death in her bedroom and left her 11-month-old baby lying beside her. The woman's husband, 33-year-old Charalambos Babis Anagnostopoulos, initially claimed that a gang of Albanian criminals had entered the couple's home in Athens and attacked Caroline. He said that the intruders tied him up and held a gun to the baby's head while demanding that Caroline tell them where the couple hid $54,000 in cash and some valuable jewelry. Caroline refused to say, according to Babis, so the gang murdered her. The supposed burglars also allegedly drowned the family's puppy and suspended his body from a railing. Detectives hit dead ends for about a month before identifying inconsistencies in Babis's story. For instance, Caroline's smartwatch proved that her heart stopped beating at a different time than her husband claimed, and that she fought for her life for at least 10 minutes before taking her last breath. Evidence also showed that Babis was using his cell phone at a time he claimed to be tied up. Anagnostopoulos eventually admitted that he had killed Caroline in a fit of rage. He said he left his child beside his dead wife to make the scene look more believable. Babis killed the puppy to further the impression that a group of truly hardened and heartless gangsters had been inside the home. It later came to light that the couple had a long history of problems. Babis claimed Caroline was mentally ill to the point of being dangerous and implied that he killed her to protect their baby. Meanwhile, psychologists classified the defendant as narcissistic and controlling. Babis was found guilty of Caroline's murder. He apologized in court only after failing to convince the jury that his young wife was the aggressor and was sentenced to life in prison. Number 1. RENA Maloney. A couple's troubled relationship reached a point of no return in late 2020 when 56-year-old RENA Maloney fatally stabbed her partner, 55-year-old Martin Berry, in their Christchurch, New Zealand home during an argument about the man's marijuana use. She only stopped when the knife blade got stuck in the victim's throat and separated from the handle. RENA then dragged Martin's body outside, covered him with leaves and plants, and left him there for several weeks as he decomposed. Meanwhile, she tried to clean the crime scene and began getting rid of Martin's belongings while continuing to drink heavily, which had posed problems many times before and had caused her to act violently. RENA eventually turned herself in to the police, claiming that she had accidentally killed her partner. It was a story she would stick with throughout her court proceedings after police charged her with murder. Even when the evidence was undeniably stacked against her, RENA failed to take ownership of the brutal crime. But the justice system didn't buy her excuses. She was found guilty and sentenced to life behind bars. Thanks for watching. Would you rather try to split up a fight between an unruly customer and a fast food restaurant manager, or see your best friend's partner out on a date with someone else and have to tell them the bad news? Let us know in the comments below.